The North before now is saying we don't believe in separation. But as I'm standing, I'm telling you that if there's going to be separation tomorrow, the North is ready for it. We're also ready. Let's go our either ways. And I'm telling you this with all sincerity. Northern Nigeria before now do not want to hear anything separation. But as of today, as I speak to you, the North is equally ready to leave.
So guys, the Northern have come out to say that they are ready to join the Southeast and the South-South to remove Tinubu in office come 2027. And like they said, that they are ready for anything, whether restructuring, division, regionalization, they don't care anything that they want to do to make Nigeria better, that they are ready and willing to do that are willing to divide Nigeria, that they are ready, that they are also ready for regionalization. They don't care which one. What they want is, let's have a good Nigeria. Well, I guys, continue your video and then you can hear your views in the comment section. If any, you can subscribe. Take a look.
Talking about presidency, what I'm going to say might be controversial. You might disagree with it, but it's the absolute reality, and I'm speaking the mind of Northerners. And I have no apology to anybody in this hall on what I'm going to say, though I respect the leaders, elders, and fathers that are here. I duly respect them. But I have no apology to anybody on what I'm going to say. Let's please be serious. We are here for a serious business. Let us not make it a discussion floor if we truly want to do this. Now, talking about rotational presidency, what I thought we should be looking at is credibility, competency, patriotism, nationalistic thinking, the love for one another, and things like that. That is what I thought should constitute who becomes Nigeria's president. Not regional, tribal, ethnical, or any other thing. Please disagree with me, but I will speak. This is why we are here. This is why we are here. Good. Let us discuss the controversy and let us find a solution to the problem.
Please allow him. Somebody has his opinion. You have your opinion.
This is why we are here. If you disagree with me, come up and give your position. This is my position. This is the position of Northern Nigeria. So if you disagree, make your position known. Now, let us look at competency, credibility, patriotism, the love for the country to move Nigeria forward. Yes, we should create, there should be a room for discussion. Call it national conference, call it restructuring, call it whatever. I agree that we should come to a round table and discuss Nigeria and discuss the way forward for Nigeria. I agree that we are disagreeing. I agree that there's a problem. I agree that there is, if you like, call it lopsided appointment. I am not in government, so I don't speak for the government. I speak for North. Not a particular tribe or region be seen as a threat to a country. If one region or tribe or religion is a threat to this country, then all of us are threatening Nigeria, and we are all threat to Nigeria. Then let us come and discuss the problem, find the solution to the problem, and let's move forward as Nigeria.
Well, yes, a lot of conversation about a return to regionalism, a practice from a couple decades, centuries ago. What is your take on, first of all, this discussion that's happening?
Well, basically, it's a discussion that we should have, we should welcome. It's a sign that we're trying to look for a solution to our myriad of problems, development problems, insecurity, economic problems. So it's a conversation that we expect to see our legislators have, and I think I commend such a conversation. However, let me begin by saying that regionalism, or regional system of government, is a system we have tested before, we have tried before, and is a system of government that has its merits and demerits, just like federalism has its merit and demerits. In fact, at times, the proponents of regional system of government talk about regional system of government as if it solved all our problems when it was in play in Nigeria, but that's not the case. In fact, why we left the regional system of government is because we were trying to experiment with another system that would solve the problems that bedeviled the regional system of government. Now, one of the problems that I can remember vividly that bedevil the regional system of government is the minority being marginalized, the minority not being carried along, the minority not participating in governance and in the government that is set up for them. So that is why we moved away from the regional system of government to a federal system of government where it engenders more participation from every nook and cranny. We have, like in my state, my local government, just 2 local government. We have a House of Rep member, 5 local government. We have a senator. So it engenders that participation. You go to the State House of Assembly. My local government just has 1 member and all of that. But in regionalism, this participation is not this widespread. It is not this, everybody doesn't participate. This large number don't participate in regionalism. So we should get that straight. We should not be running away from one system to the other instead of trying to better the system that we have at the moment. This is the problem, to digress, that we have with even subsidy. Subsidy is a good thing, but they say it's bedeviled with corruption. So instead of dealing with the corruption, we're running away from subsidy itself. So federalism, we have federalism. It's a good thing. It is working in several other places, but we have our own unique problems with our federalism. And instead of dealing with those problems, we want to run away again from federalism to regionalism with its own problems. Now, why not we sit down together and look at the federal system of government that we practice and try to tinker it, tailor it, to give us the dividends of democracy, to solve problems, economic problems, security problems, and all of that. We don't need, for instance, to go back to regionalism before we can talk about fiscal federalism, before we can talk about resource control. In the US, their brand of federalism has settled and dealt with the issue of resource control and dealt with the issue of fiscal responsibility and fiscal federalism. But we don't want to deal with it. So the elephant in the room, for instance, is fiscal federalism. The elephant in the room is resource control. Deal with it. We are talking about running back to regionalism. We tried for a few years, they will run back to federalism. So I don't think running back to regionalism is the solution. It's to sit down and talk about how to tweak, tinker, develop, position, equip our federalism to deliver the dividends of democracy. I think that's my take on that.
So if we talk about, tinkering with the current system, which is federalism, I'm wondering what sort of reforms you are proposing that will help us to actually achieve true federalism and make the system work for Nigeria. Now,
I already gave one example. Okay, I'll reiterate it and maybe make 1 or 2 other examples. Now, in 1979, when we adopted the presidential system of government and the federal system of government side by side, we had a model, and the model we copied from is the United States of America. Now, federalism is actually dictated by the unique story, unique experiences of a particular state or nation state. We shouldn't or can't exactly have the same kind of presidential system or federal system like the US. There are other countries that practice federal system of government that have tinkered it to suit them. So, for instance, I spoke about the elephant in the room. In the US, there is resource control and fiscal federalism, where the state control their resources and make remittance to the federal government. But in our state, it's not like that. In our nation state, it's not like that. Every resource, every mineral resource, everything belongs to the federal government. So states have stopped being creative. They're not thinking out of the box anymore. They are now coming cap in hand to the federal government for handouts. You know, so you see people running for governor who don't even have an economic plan. They don't even know what to do to position their states. But will you even blame them? Because why should they be having an economic plan when they don't even control the resources in their states to start with? So everything they're thinking about is how to, first of all, position yourself, win the election, position yourself to get handouts from the federal government. So let's start from there to say, okay, states in our federalism should control resources and make remittance to the federal government. What is stopping us from having state police? What is stopping us from having a unique system of jurisprudence where the states will even have state court of appeal and even state supreme court, where certain issues like customary issues, Sharia issues, will terminate at maybe I start a matter at the area court in Kanu. There should be maybe Sharia court of appeal. Maybe they should have Kanu State Supreme Court where such matters terminate. But do you know that matters that start from area court Kanu gets to the Sharia court, court of appeal, then get to the court of appeal and come to Supreme Court in Abuja? Because we don't have judicial federalism where states can have this system put in place to take care of their needs, economic needs, security needs, and financial needs. So these are the issues. I believe that if we are serious as a people, our legislators, the stakeholders, to sit down together and think at these aspects to suit our unique purpose and position our nation for productivity and success, not to run back to regionalism. So what exactly is regionalism going to give us that we can't tinker our federalism to give us? Can't we even cut down on, for instance, how expensive, or let me use the word luxurious, capital-intensive governance is? We can cut down on it. We don't have to run down or run back to regionalism. So this is what I mean when I say we can tinker our federalism, position it to serve us better than it's presently doing.
Well said. And what would be the process of re-establishing regionalism, legally speaking, since that is your area of expertise? Well,
you know, the thing is that we can quarrel with the 1999 Constitution all we want, but it's the grand norm now. Is the foundation. We exist. That is like our existence, a nation state or as a country, is hinged on that constitution, imperfect as it is. You know, so whether we are tinkering with our federal system, as I've suggested, or going back to regionalism, as some persons have proposed, it still boils down to a constitutional amendment. You have to amend the constitution, whether in piecemeal, holistically, but the process cannot exist outside the constitutional machinery of making law and amending laws. So it's not something that somebody is going to stitch together and just deliver to us. So our representatives in the National Assembly, in the State House of Assembly, the constitution itself spells out how it should be amended. It spells out how the system of government will operate now. It's clearly spelled in the Constitution. So if you want to change the system of government, you want to change the structure of the country, you still have to go back, follow the laid down procedure of amending the Constitution, amend the relevant sections, and bring in either regionalism or any system of government that we agree on.
The need to revisit the Nigerian state, its foundations, its philosophy, its operations, its systems. It's not an agenda of anybody, any part of Nigeria. It's a Nigerian agenda. There's no Nigerian who knows how badly the country is being run that will oppose a holistic revision of the Nigerian state, foundations, philosophies, and operations. Whatever name you give it. And we don't need to fight over the name, so long as we do what the right thing is. And what the right thing is that we need to put Nigeria on the table and re-examine those things that represent limitations and address them as Nigerians, not as Northerners or Southerners, not as ethnic groups, not as Muslims or Christians, but as Nigerians, because everything that happens in this country affects everybody. Every advantage one part of the country gets creates a disadvantage somewhere else. So we're all victims of a country. And the point is that this is our country, it's nobody else's country. It's not the country of our ruling clique. It's not the country of those who are today in power. It's our country, it's the country of our children. And it's the country we want to improve and leave behind so that it can work better. This is the fundamental philosophy behind our support for a holistic religion. Where we have problems being understood is where we draw attention to some of the limitations behind this national need to address our country. And we've made the position clear. Whether we like it or not, we have almost reached an end of a country that needs salvation seriously. First, we need to recognize the fact that you cannot reform, revisit, restructure Nigeria unless you have the consent and the participation and the inclusion of every part of this country. And you cannot do that if you keep presenting it as if it is only one part of the country that wants it and another country is resisting it. Because when you do that, that part of the country that you identify as the villain just digs in. Every part of Nigeria has issues with what Nigeria is today. They may not all have the same issues, but we do have issues. So what is happening in this room today is historic. It should go down on record as one of the genuine efforts by citizens and leaders to say, how do we move from blaming each other, fighting with each other, and quarreling over names and methods? How do we move into getting Nigeria revisited in a meaningful way? There are a number of things we have to focus. Under the current circumstances, we have ideas, we have suggestions, we have a lot of work. But how do we get it into the mainstream? The National Assembly has just revisited or looked at a few sections of the Constitution. The way we are going, none of those things will see the light of day. We will continue with this Constitution that we've all said is fundamentally defective because those in power are not interested in changing it. They're not interested in changing it because it serves their interests. It doesn't serve the interests of the people who elected them. It doesn't serve the interests of those who really feel the pain of what Nigeria is today. They won't change Nigeria because it benefits them. And yet every one of them, from the president to the National Assembly, to the governors, to the state assembly people, everybody who has responsibility under this Constitution to change the Constitution was elected by the Nigerian people. So how do you deal with this seeming betrayal of the genuine need of Nigerians? First, we have to see them out. They will not change Nigeria if they remain in power. If they reproduce themselves in 2023, they will also reproduce the problems that we have. So there's a fundamental political challenge facing all Nigerians, and we need to recognize it. Nobody who aspires to any public office, particularly in a position where he or she can affect the future, should get our votes unless he or she commits to a holistic review of our Constitution, our structures, and our systems. Nobody. So if there are aspirants who are listening, I've just given you an idea. The North will not support any candidate who does not publicly and seriously commit to the revision of the structure, the systems, and the processes of administration. Without reservations. That's the first one. The second one We need to work to get the country to survive, even between now and when we get rid of the people today who show serious resistance to any substantial change. Because we shouldn't take the survival of this country for granted. We are being run, this country is being run by people who are so reckless about the way they are running it that we are not even sure that we will actually have, we will survive as a country. Some of the things we say ourselves, and we say to each other, are not productive, are not useful, and sometimes are downright dangerous to the survival of this country. Even in the next 1 year, we should stop. We should stop. We need to get this country safely through the elections of 2023. We need to get good leaders who recognize the fact that 2023 will be a historic turning point. Either we turn around and begin the process of reconstructing this country on principles that address our needs as Nigerians, or we sink deeper. When we do sink deeper, everybody will be a victim. There are people who think deeply that there are parts of Nigeria that can just walk away because they don't get what they want. You're making a mistake. No part of this country can just walk away if it doesn't get what it wants. None. Because our roots are too deep, our bonds are too tight, our interests are too identical. When we make the case for a united Nigeria, it is because we recognize the fact that, defective or no, our history, molded by the mistakes we made, molded by the achievements we made, the contribution of the military, the creations of the military, things we don't like about what the military have done, whether we like it or not, they are part of us. We live with them, we live with them. If we have to change what the military did, we have to do it, but we have to do it together. We cannot just walk away because we don't like the beat of what is there. We can work together to salvage this country and change the way it is structured. And we must do that. Otherwise, we will submit to bandits and kidnappers and IPOBs and irregulars and everybody, and nobody will benefit from this. Finally, I think we need to commit to supporting only candidates wherever they come from, who not only commit to convening some serious national constitutional forum, but actually commit to implementing what we recommend. No one should even venture to offer to lead us unless they tell us clearly, and we see it in writing, that one of their first priorities is to allow an unhindered discussion and production of ideas about how this country should be restructured. Another Elders Forum supports this initiative. We hope that at the end of the day today, we will commit to supporting the survival of this country, irrespective of the assaults that are being made by insecurity by our leadership. We need to survive as a country. We need to produce the kind of leader who we can all look up to and say, that's our leader. We need to produce the kind of leader who will commit to our future, the future of our children. And we can do that as Nigerians. We don't need to do it as ethnic groups. We don't need to do it as people from one parts of the region. We can do it because the truth about it is problems in the southeast are the problems of Zamfara. Boko Haram is not a northern problem, it's a Nigerian problem. And whatever it is that is fueling IPOB, it's not a legal issue, it's a Nigerian problem. It needs to be looked into, it needs to be resolved. And we need to send messages to our people who are losing hope that you can actually reconstruct this country. Nigeria has a future. But if some of the people in this room and those outside don't really get out and get involved in the political process, then there's no hope. We will be left with the people that His Eminence, the Kanu president, is talking about, who casually dish out 100 million naira because they just want to be listed as people who want. One of them could actually end up being our president. They would have bought this country and they would buy it simply to continue to make it. The more the ruling class exploits us, the more they set us up to fight against each other. We have no reason to fight against anybody. Finally, the North does not want to fight anybody, does not want anybody to fight anybody. It wants an equal role to play in the manner in which Nigeria runs. We don't have enemies. We don't need enemies. We will accept leadership if it emerges legitimately, constitutionally, and particularly if it is the kind of leadership we'll look at and say we can see some hope in the leadership of that person. That's the kind of Nigeria we're looking for. And we're looking for partners. We hope the rest of the country will work with us. We hope the rest of the country will recognize the fact that there are no victims and there are no villains in this endeavor. And if we can tone down the rhetorics and help the political and democratic process to survive this very difficult period, Nigeria has a future. If we fail to do this, the reckless ruling class today, if you can see, 30-something people spending billions and billions of naira of our money just to buy forms to compete. These people will run this country aground. May that never happen in the name of God. Thank you.
You see how all these Northerners are coming out and they are calling for the Nigeria division. The same thing that they said nnamdi Kanu did and termed him a terrorist is what these people are coming out to say in a public space, and the government are not doing anything about it. Meanwhile, the Northerners are saying that even if it means to divide tomorrow, that they are ready, because they have believed in one Nigeria for a long time and it's not working. Go to the north, there's no good road, there's no investments, there's no water, there's no clean water, there's no good school, there's no network, there's no lights, there's nothing in the north. And tell me why they will not call out for this Nigeria to divide. Because the hunger in the north is too much. The federal government is not even doing anything in the north. Which is the more reason they are saying that they need to divide and break out from this country called Nigeria. And that's the only way anything can work. Because he said that we are disagreeing and everybody has the right to disagree. Because why? Because we don't have the same belief. If I'm an Igbo, a Yoruba might have a different belief from my own. That means we cannot be one, but we can be friends, but we cannot be one. We are friends with other foreign countries, but we are not one because we have different culture, different belief, and different mindsets, and different ways of how to tackle certain things. So now the North has an out now, telling the South-East that we are ready to join you people. Come on, let's collide together and remove Tinubu in office come 2027. That year, it will be very hard and very tough. Because Tinubu will not want to leave office, APC will not want to leave office, and the Yorubas, some Yorubas will not want a Igbo man to rule Nigeria. So that year is going to be a very, very tough one, but we await that year. So this is a video where I want to bring to you guys that the Northerners are ready for the division of Nigeria. But my own issue I have is that this was what nnamdi Kanu wanted in 2014, and he was termed a terrorist by the federal government of Buhari, and till today they are still calling him a terrorist, which I don't know why they are still calling him a terrorist, because he have done nothing wrong. All his acts was that let Nigeria divide. That means he doesn't want to be in Nigeria again. He was only asking for a referendum, which means that let there be a vote of who wants to stay in Nigeria and who wants to leave. But because right now it's looking as if everybody wants to leave Nigeria, everybody wants to divide. Let the Igbo go, Yoruba go, Hausa go. Let us know that we are no longer one, but we are one. We are now regionalized. That means we don't have regions like the Igbo region, Hausa region, and Yoruba region. So that is all they are asking Tinubu government to do for them. But I will see you guys in my next video as any of you. Don't forget to subscribe. Stay tuned, guys.